Today, I want to walk you through a shift that every homeowner, seller, or buyer should really understand. Cash is increasingly king. Over the first half of 2025, an eye-opening 32.8% of home sales nationwide were completed with all cash. No mortgage, no bank approval, just liquidity alone. If you're skeptical, stay with me. I'll unpack how we got here, what it means for markets like Dallas, and how homeowners can respond intelligently. Stick around until the end because I'll also share how to navigate this cash-driven environment in DFW. Let's start with the big picture. The figure of nearly 1 in 3 all-cash transactions marks a departure from pre-pandemic norms. Historically, cash deals hovered closer to the high 20s in percentage terms, but over the past few years, they've jumped upward. A variety of forces are driving this. Rising interest rates, tight lending criteria, and reduced affordability, and investors with lots of cash available are all pushing more deals into the cash territory. Even though the 2025 rate is slightly lower than some peak years, it remains well above what many conventional buyers can stomach, giving cash buyers an outsized advantage in competitive bidding scenarios. It's also revealing to look at metro and regional dynamics. Nationally, Miami had one of the highest shares of cash sales among large metros at about 43%. Meanwhile, certain states like Mississippi saw nearly half of all transactions done in cash. Markets with lower taxes, looser regulation, or high out-of-state demand often see that concentration. In contrast, Texas as a whole is more moderate. In one 2024 report, only about 11% of Texas home sales were all cash. That's lower than the national rate, which suggests that in DFW, we might expect pockets of cash dominance without uniform dominance across the board. So, what about Dallas-Fort Worth specifically? While public data on cash sales by county is harder to come by, we can draw inferences from related indicators. The median home price in Dallas sits around $428,000 recently, up nearly 10% year over year, with homes averaging about 58 days on market. In Fort Worth, the median sold price approached $331,999 in mid-2025, and that's a 10.3% year-over-year jump. Meanwhile, local cash buyer groups are active. Dozens of houses in DFW are currently labeled cash only on listing platforms. Locally, companies are advertising cash purchasing across DFW, so there's still lots of investors. In Fort Worth, we're seeing that the We Buy Cash types of signs and buyers are well established there as well. So we don't have perfect data regarding the exact percentage for DFW, but the presence of cash buyers is meaningful and growing, especially for investor-ready properties. So how does the shifting landscape affect someone who already owns a home or is thinking of selling their home? Let me walk through 3 implications I consider essential. First, pricing expectations and negotiation posture change. A cash buyer typically offers faster certainty, less risk of the financing falling through, and a cleaner process overall. For a seller, that can translate into willingness to accept slightly lower offers in exchange for speed and certainty. But for homeowners hoping to list traditionally, it means you may increasingly find yourself competing with all cash buyers in your market. That raises the bar for your own presentation. That's going to be condition, staging, inspections, and all of these become more critical to remain competitive. Second, liquidity becomes a strategic asset. If you have strong equity or access to cash, you gain flexibility. You can make more aggressive moves, negotiate better terms, or even pivot quickly to another property in a rising rate environment. Conversely, sellers with tight budgets or heavy debt may struggle if their buyers are cash competitors. So part of being strategic is understanding your own financial flexibility and planning accordingly. Third, the timing and marketing of your sale must adapt. In a more cash-driven market, speed matters. The longer a house lingers, the more likely an investor sees an opportunity to swoop in with a clean cash deal, albeit typically for less and maybe very much so less than the listing price. Savvy sellers should consider hybrid marketing strategies, that is listing on the MLS, but also considering cash offers up front from vetted investors or iBuyers, and then evaluating them side by side with traditional offers, which is something that we help our clients do. So you may even choose the cash offer outright if it still meets your financial goals and your timeline. Let me also acknowledge some caveats and dynamics tempering the trend. The article I referenced points out that while the cash share in 2025 is high, it has dipped slightly year over year, suggesting some cooling of the frenzied conditions. So we're not necessarily in a runaway cash era, but it remains far more dominant than it used to be. And also, many cash buyers are not mom and pop individuals, but funded investor groups, which can adjust their behavior by scaling up or scaling back during downturns, or be able to flood a market regionally. These local dynamics are going to matter. If you're a homeowner in Dallas-Fort Worth today and wondering how to respond, here are a few strategic moves to consider. First, run a scenario comparing what you might net under a fast cash deal versus a conventional listing. And that's what we help our clients do. We prepare these every day. We include your cost of carrying the property and the risk of buyer financing falling through as well. Second, we want to vet those investor buyers. We want to make sure they're not wholesalers and are actually end buyers that are going to close on the home. And then we're going to work to bring in multiple cash offers up front so you have negotiation leverage and lots of data points to make your decision. Third, position your home for clarity and speed. Ensure clear expectations, transparent disclosures, and quick appraisals. Fourth, if you're buying again, think about lining up cash or hybrid financing options so you can compete if you find yourself in a bidding race. Just know that cash is still a very strong consideration out there in our market today. So thanks for tuning in. If you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and want to explore whether a cash sale might make more sense for your home, or how to compete when cash buyers are a part of the formula, reach out to me and the Modernest Realty team. We are here on the ground tracking investor activity and ready to help you strategize. And until next we chat, have a good one. Bye-bye.